primetime hits. But you know what? Like I said, she's family of her own. She's on a new ABC family show as well. But let's watch the screens as we go behind the scenes with the real Candace Cameron Bure. Smile for the camera. And she's a natural. Here are the cutie and curls of shooting commercials. By her teenage years, her star is shining on national TV. Her Full House co-stars introduce her to their buddy, pro hockey player Bure. A favorite picture, their second date. Presenting Mr. and Mrs. Bure. A true hockey mom in training. Here with Natasha, Lev, and Max. From the Hollywood Hills with a heart for heaven, extraordinary women, let's welcome Candace Cameron Bure.
You guys are a great crowd, let me tell you. We're going to get the Full House stuff out of the way because everybody asks me the same questions, which are, did you have fun doing Full House? And do you still keep in touch with the cast? And, you know, whatever happened to Kimmy Gibbler? I love being a part of Full House, and I do keep in touch with just about everyone from the show. I just had dinner with Bob Saget the other night, went to Dave Coulier's 50th birthday party. I'm sure he loves that I'm announcing that. And we actually are all on Twitter, so if you want to follow us, it's pretty hysterical to follow Full House on Twitter. Anyway, there you go. But I'm especially thankful to Dave Coulier, the guy that played Joey on Full House, because he introduced me to my husband. The last year of Full House, he invited all of the cast to a hockey game. It was a charity game where both celebrities were playing and professional hockey players. Well, Dave pulled me over to the side and he said, I'm gonna come talk to you. He said, hey, I met these two really nice Russian hockey players and they're about your age and I want to introduce you to them. And I was like, cute guy, great, I'd love to meet him. So we went to this game to watch Dave, but it turns out that Val and his brother Pavel had come from Russia just a few years earlier and they didn't speak the language here very well. So they would have their morning practice and they would skate, they'd take a nap, they'd wake up with a cup of coffee, and they would watch Full House because it helped them learn English. So they were fans of the show. I was introduced that night to Val, and 2 years later we were married. We've been married for 13 years. And so Full House is very special to me in more ways than one. I am here though to share with you my testimony and my story and really growing up in Hollywood and how my faith has played a part in my life. I actually didn't grow up in a Christian home. My mom was a believer when she was a little girl, but my dad wanted nothing to do with religion. Didn't want God talked about in our home, and so my mom early on had understood that and never brought up God to us as kids. Well, when I was 12 years old, my parents were going through a really hard time in their marriage and they were separated. And a friend had invited our whole family to church in hopes that the church would help counsel them and they could work through their problems. So I remember the very first time my dad came up to me and my two sisters and he said, come on girls, we're going somewhere, I'm not telling you where, we're just hop in the car. And we showed up to this warehouse in the building and it was a church. And I remember looking at one of my sisters and going, man, this must be really serious if Dad's willing to go to church. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to feel. I never was talked about, or God wasn't talked about in my home. So I went in that church and I kind of giggled and felt a little uncomfortable and it felt a little strange in there. But I liked it. As we continued to go every Sunday, what I really liked were the people that were there. I liked how genuinely warm and friendly and kind that the people seemed to be. And I saw changes happening in my mom and dad, and I saw how happy my brother and my sisters were and just people around. And although I didn't understand the message that the pastor was talking about each week, I did understand that the difference of all these people and the difference that was happening in my family was Jesus Christ. So the pastor said one Sunday, if you would like to ask Jesus into your heart, just raise your hand to let us know, but pray the sinner's prayer with me. And so at 12 years old, I raised my hand and I said, yes, I want Jesus to be the Lord of my life. So I prayed the sinner's prayer that day and was so excited about my new Christian life. And a few weeks later, I was baptized with my mom and my brother and one of my sisters. And I was just excited to learn about God. Well, during this time, I had been on Full House for 2 years already. I started Full House when I was 10, but I went till I was 18 years old on the show. And during the second season, Full House had become really, really popular. So I had been doing a lot of publicity for the show, doing talk shows and radio shows, and I would do big appearances to sign autographs. And I was working full-time to do the show, and also doing school full-time, which is really like having two full-time jobs. It's a lot of work. So as I was getting older and into my teenage years, I was incredibly busy. Although I had an awesome life, I'm not complaining about it at all. It was kind of like a dream life that a lot of kids dream about today. Just on this hit television show and making good money, and it enabled me to travel all over the world, and I got to meet other celebrities and work with other celebrities, and I had fans that looked up to me and would tell me that I was a good role model, and my parents had worked out their problems and were together, and my family life was awesome at home. Well, all of this was great, but I was so busy. So as I got into my later teenage years, my church life really started to slow down. And my mom knew how tired I was too, so she wasn't forcing me or driving me to church every Sunday. But I thought about God, even though my church life slowed down. And I thought, I could just talk to God and pray to God anytime I want to, because God lives in my heart. I don't really need to go to a church building to pray to God. So I thought, as long as I talk to him once in a while, or if I need something from him, or just kind of say a little shout out of thanks to God, I thought that was really all I needed to do, because I had this personal relationship with him, and I could just talk to him whenever I felt like it. Well, when I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18 years old, I had my own place, and I could pretty much do whatever I wanted to, because I had the money, I had the resources. And I have to tell you though, I wasn't one of these kids that wanted to just go do bad stuff. I was a good kid, and I was a pleaser. I liked to do what my parents had asked me, and I was the one that would call and say, hey, I just got home, or hey, I'm gonna be 5 minutes late, or I was a pleaser. But there were certainly things that, when times arose that I wanted to try some things that I knew were bad, because my friends were. So when these temptations arose sometimes, I'd give in to them. And I certainly tried things that I knew I shouldn't be trying. I looked at things that I knew I shouldn't be looking at, and participated in things that my parents clearly told me that I knew were wrong. But when I wanted to do those things that I knew were bad once in a while, I thought about all the other child actors that we read about. And I go, well, what I'm doing right now is nothing compared to what they're doing. I thought to myself, well, I'm not a drug addict. I'm not an alcoholic. I haven't been pulled over, arrested, and had my mug shot up on the internet. I'm not anorexic. I don't have all these problems that are associated with these child stars. And I thought, man, compared to them, I'm looking like a saint. Okay, I'm like a really good person. So I thought, big deal if once in a while I want to do something wild and crazy. I thought, big deal if I have a party with my friends once in a while.